Orenthal James Simpson, born in the bustling projects of San Francisco, had a journey that looked like it was headed straight for greatness. From a young age, his athletic talent was hard to miss. He danced through defenses with a blend of grace and power that was just mesmerizing, right? At the University of Southern California, he didn't just play football, he became a college legend. Winning the Heisman Trophy in 1968 was no small feat. It wasn't just a win. It felt like a crowning moment. That's when the juice truly came to life. Isn't that something? O.J. Simpson's story isn't just about being a football legend. It's a deep dive into the world of celebrity, justice, and how one guy's choices changed the game for American culture forever. Today, we're peeling back the layers and looking at this icon from a fresh perspective. Orenthal James Simpson, born in the bustling projects of San Francisco, had a journey that looked like it was headed straight for greatness. From a young age, his athletic talent was hard to miss. He danced through defenses with a blend of grace and power that was just mesmerizing, right? At the University of Southern California, he didn't just play football, he became a college legend. Winning the Heisman Trophy in 1968 was no small feat. It wasn't just a win. It felt like a crowning moment. That's when the juice truly came to life. Isn't that something? When he entered the NFL, he didn't just play, he dominated. His time with the Buffalo Bills was legendary, culminating in 1973 when he became the first player to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season. He wasn't just a player, he was an event. Every time he touched the ball, the crowd held its breath, waiting for magic. He was fast, he was elusive, and he had a smile that could light up a stadium. But O.J.'s appeal transcended the football field. He was one of the first black athletes to achieve massive, mainstream crossover success. His charisma was magnetic. He landed major endorsement deals, most famously with Hertz Rental Cars, where he was seen gracefully leaping over airport counters. He became a familiar face in Hollywood, appearing in films like The Towering Inferno and the Naked Gun series. He was a beloved broadcaster and a constant presence on television. In the 70s and 80s, O.J. Simpson wasn't just a star, he was the personification of the American dream. He had broken barriers, achieved unimaginable success, and was adored by millions regardless of race or background. He was a symbol that anything was possible. But behind the gleaming facade of the American hero, a darker story was developing, one that remained largely hidden from the public eye. His personal life, particularly his marriage to Nicole Brown Simpson, was far from the idyllic picture it seemed. Friends and family would later recount a pattern of troubling behavior, a volatile temper, and escalating control. Reports of domestic disputes and police calls to their residence painted a starkly different portrait from the charming public persona. A shadow was creeping over the sun-drenched life of the icon, a shadow that would soon engulf everything. Then came the night of June 12, 1994. A night that would forever alter the course of American culture. On that evening, Nicole Brown Simpson and a young waiter named Ronald Goldman were brutally murdered outside her Brentwood condominium. The news sent shockwaves across the country and the world. How could this happen? And more chillingly, who could be responsible for such a horrific act? The initial shock quickly turned into a media frenzy as the police investigation began to unfold, and one name, a name no one wanted to believe, started to surface as a person of interest: O.J. Simpson. The days that followed were a whirlwind of confusion, speculation, and mounting tension. What happened next would cement this case in the annals of history. On June 17th, instead of surrendering to police as arranged, O.J. Simpson became the subject of one of the most surreal and watched events in television history. The slow-speed chase of a white Ford Bronco down the highways of Los Angeles, with O.J. in the back, captivated an estimated 95 million viewers. It was a bizarre, tragic spectacle that stopped the nation in its tracks. The hero was now a fugitive, his flight broadcast live for the world to see. It was the dramatic opening act to what would be dubbed the trial of the century. The trial itself was a spectacle of unprecedented proportions. It was televised daily, turning attorneys and witnesses into household names. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, laid out a mountain of evidence they believed pointed directly to O.J.'s guilt. They presented a timeline, DNA evidence, and the infamous bloody glove found at the crime scene. Their narrative was one of a jealous, controlling ex-husband who finally snapped. On the other side was the Dream Team, a high-powered group of defense attorneys including Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, and F. Lee Bailey. They countered with a powerful and effective strategy. They attacked the credibility of the Los Angeles Police Department, suggesting evidence was mishandled or even planted. They raised critical questions about the investigation's integrity and introduced the explosive element of race into the proceedings. Johnny Cochran's famous line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," spoken after O.J. struggled to put on the shrunken leather glove in court, became an iconic moment that summarized their entire defense. The trial became more than just a murder case. It became a national obsession and a raw, public forum on America's deepest societal divisions. It exposed the chasm in perceptions of the justice system between black and white Americans. It put celebrity culture, media ethics, and police conduct under a microscope. Every piece of evidence, every witness testimony was debated not just in the courtroom, but in living rooms, offices, and communities across the nation. The country was divided, and the verdict, whatever it would be, felt like it would be a verdict on America itself. On October 3, 1995, after less than 4 hours of deliberation, the verdict was read. Not guilty. The reaction was instantaneous and deeply divided. Cheers erupted in some communities, while stunned silence and tears fell in others. The televised split-screen images of these contrasting reactions became an enduring symbol of the racial divide the trial had laid bare. O.J. Simpson was a free man, but in the court of public opinion, the judgment was far from unanimous. His life as an acquitted man was one of public scrutiny and ostracism. The adoration he once enjoyed had evaporated, replaced by suspicion and notoriety. But the legal battles were not over. The families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman filed a wrongful death civil lawsuit against him. In this trial, the burden of proof was lower. In 1997, a jury found O.J. liable for their deaths and ordered him to pay $33.5 million in damages. While he maintained his innocence, the verdict was a symbolic victory for the families and those who believed he was guilty. In the years that followed, O.J. made several attempts to re-enter the public sphere, but controversy was never far behind. The most notorious example was the 2006 book and television special titled If I Did It, a supposedly hypothetical account of how the murders might have been committed. Public outcry was so intense that the project was canceled, though the book was later published by the Goldman family. His life continued on a downward spiral of further legal troubles, culminating in a 2008 conviction for armed robbery and kidnapping in Las Vegas, for which he served 9 years in prison. Decades later, the story of O.J. Simpson continues to fascinate and horrify. It has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and award-winning television series. It's a reference point in discussions about true crime, media saturation, and American history. Why does it still hold such power over us? Because the case forced America to confront uncomfortable truths about itself. It raised enduring questions about the nature of fame and whether celebrity can shield you from justice. It questioned whether a wealthy defendant can buy a different brand of justice than an ordinary citizen. It laid bare the deep-seated racial tensions that simmer just beneath the surface of American society. O.J. Simpson remains one of the most complex and polarizing figures of our time. He was a hero who fell from the highest pedestal, a symbol of the American dream that became a cautionary tale. His story is a permanent fixture in our cultural memory, a reminder of a time when a football star, a white Ford Bronco, and a leather glove held a nation's wrapped and divided attention. His legacy is not one of touchdowns and trophies, but of a tragedy that forever changed how we view celebrity, race, and justice in America. Thank you so much for watching. This is a story with so many layers, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you remember most about this case? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories that have shaped our world. We'll see you next time.